All right, I am here with Rhianna Campbell. Hey, Rhianna.
Hey, so happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you could come. So, Rhianna, you've done a lot in real estate, but you are a real estate agent. You've done commercial, residential. You now have a business called Proper Planning, which does coaching and things like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the full range of things, especially on the residential side. So I've done sales, I've done property management, both residential and commercial. I've done construction and maintenance and design. So yeah, I've done and I've invested. So I'm also an investor. So yeah,
Everything,
I've done a number
yes.
of things.
But we were going to talk about today because we were talking earlier and the topic came up about burnout. And so, I definitely experienced burnout and it's been about 2 years. I think I've experienced it a few times, but like more, the most recent was a couple of years ago. But tell us your
Yeah.
story about burnout and then give us like some tips on how we can recognize it and what we can do about it. Because it's a real thing, especially in this market.
It is. And it's actually a bigger issue than I think people realize because we're so used to just managing a lot of stress on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
And we don't recognize the signs of when that stress gets too burdensome. And so, my story started when I started my business in 2008. When you're just getting started, everything is fun. It's just
Yeah.
really exciting. Every win, a huge win, a huge celebration. And then about 4 years into being an entrepreneur, or I should say that business in particular, property management,
Hmm.
I started recognizing that I would get sick around the same time every year. And it was like tax season every year. I literally was sick. And
I don't
I
like
knew
doing my
that it was
taxes either.
a trend. I know. But in property management, tax season is a really big thing because you have to do taxes not just for your own business, but for everybody else. And so,
Right.
I was working with hundreds of investors and they needed their tax documents. And so
Yeah.
that time of year was probably the most stressful time of year for me. And it was fine at first when it happened like one time, and then it happened again, and then again. And then year after year, I was just like, oh my gosh, at tax season, I guess I'm going to get sick. It just became a trend.
Right.
Um, what I didn't realize was it was stress induced and it was something that I probably needed to take more seriously. And
Hmm.
so towards I would say maybe 4 or 5 years of consistently getting sick every year, I noticed that I was more depleted and fatigued on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just a time of year, it became all year long.
Oh,
And I
wow.
didn't recognize the signs of that. I knew I was under a lot of stress and pressure, and being an entrepreneur is very stressful because you've always got to be on top of everything and
Right.
getting leads, and and at that point I was managing a pretty big staff. I had a huge responsibility to make sure everybody got paid, and so building a successful business can be pretty stressful. And so
For sure.
I definitely didn't recognize those signs. But one day I was having a conversation with a consultant that I had hired, and she started this little round table saying, let's talk about our feelings and how we feel right now. And everyone going around the circle talking about their feelings. And then she got to me, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, like, what do I say? And I told her that I felt like a candle about to go out. And
Oh.
that's literally how I felt. Like, I didn't know how else to describe the feeling I was having. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're suffering from adrenal fatigue. And I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, what is that?
Like, I guess I should Google it. I mean, she's diagnosed me. I mean, I need to figure out what this is. And
Yeah.
I went on there, I Googled it, and it said something about it's just being overstressed. It's
Okay.
basically, I mean, that's one of the signs of being overstressed.
Yeah.
And then I had another health issue come up where I almost felt like I was going blind. One day I was like laying around and my vision just went black, and I got so scared and nervous, and I got rushed to the emergency room.
Oh.
And the doctor, tested, when you go to the emergency room, they test you for everything.
Yeah.
They couldn't find any problems, but they said, I think you had a stress induced migraine. I was like, this is a migraine. This is what people live with. This is crazy. It
Yeah,
just felt like I literally felt like I was going blind. It was just really stressful for me.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was really hard. But I had to really think about at that point, once I realized my health was up at risk, I had
Right.
to start thinking about what that meant for me. Like, what does this mean? Like, how do I manage this? What do I need a vacation? Is it something really
Well, you
simple?
don't want to like get to that point, right? So like how do you recognize these signs before it gets to where you're like going blind and feeling like, this is
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. So they said there's about 5 phases just based on some of the research that I did. There's like 5 phases to burnout. So that first phase is you're at 100%, right? You're living on top of the world. You're feeling pretty good. They call that the honeymoon phase where everything's new and exciting and great.
Yeah.
And you start feeling some stress. So you have days that are harder than others, and
Right.
that can be a little challenging, but for the most part, you manage it. And I think
Yeah.
we're all used to managing a certain level of stress.
Right.
Then they have what's called chronic stress, which is it's more frequent. So it's more days are more challenging than others. So if you think about your week, are 5 days out of your week stressful? Because if that's the case, this is probably signs of like chronic stress.
Yeah.
And then after that, then it becomes burnout. And burnout has more recognizable signs. I think because we're so used to living with stress, we recognize that we're under stress and it can be really challenging for us. And I think some of us, notice that we have some issues like, oh, maybe we have a temper, or maybe we're a little short with our family members and things like
Or
that.
you're hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're
Like,
not hungry, but you're eating everything.
right. You're eating all your feelings, right?
Right. Exactly.
But then at burnout, it becomes more health related. So you start to see
Hmm.
that there's more health related issues coming up. So you
Okay.
have fatigue and those things that are a little bit more recognizable. Now, when you're having these problems, the issue is not necessarily saying, okay, I'm realizing that I don't feel well. It's recognizing that those things have to do with stress and trying to figure out how to manage that stress. One of the things that I did, which I didn't mention, is one of the health decisions that I made was to sell my business. Now, I don't recommend this to everyone. And I don't think I mean, thinking it back, I was just like, that was probably a really good decision for me, but
Yeah.
no, that's not necessarily the decision for everyone. I think there are ways that you can figure out how to balance yourself and how to balance your life and the stress that you have. So
Girl,
being
I
aware,
left the country for a year. I was
yeah,
like, get me the hell out of here. I'm freaking out. Let me, leave. I mean, I
yeah,
still managed the business, but it was like a lot less drama or whatever because I literally couldn't show a house,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it does get like that though. I think one of the things that's really challenging is we have to find an outlet or an out
Yeah.
to that level of anxiety. And
Yeah.
sometimes moving yourself is necessary. Not
Right.
necessarily leaving the country, but it's like,
I mean,
it
yeah,
was,
but I think like, there's a certain level of stress, and I'm not a stress expert, but I think there's a certain level of stress that makes sense, right? That's like, okay, this is why we get paid what we do, because this is a stressful situation. And then to your point, if it's like more days than not, you're like done, like tapped out, that could be, and that's like an ongoing thing. That's probably where you're like starting to head towards burnout, where it's like, okay, ding, 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 let me do something here, right?
and I think a lot of people, especially during COVID, some people were lucky enough to stay at home and work from home. But if you're a single person, that might not be as big of a deal as, say, managing your family and homeschooling and working. And so like you start to add to your normal stress levels by adding these other variables to it that you wouldn't normally have. I had a friend of mine who he was going through burnout and didn't recognize it, but I recognized it in him, where he was just tempered, very like quick to say things, and sometimes came across in the wrong way that he didn't really mean. But those were, again, signs of burnout. And I think, once you realize that there's a lot happening that we're not used to, because
Yeah.
times are just very weird right now,
Right.
right? There's just so much happening. And
Right.
so being able to say, okay, how do I manage my levels of stress so that I'm not stressed out every day. And so one of the things I teach people is to put together what I call like a self-love tool bag. And this is just like a technique that you can use to just say, okay, let me go to my tool bag and see what things I want to do so I can show myself self-love. And sometimes you have to schedule it. Say, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to do this morning routine because that's going to give me life in the morning, right? I'm going to do this nighttime routine. Like I'm a big like hot shower night type of person.
Okay. Okay.
Cuddle with my blanket. Let me get in my nice comfy robe. Let me take a nice hot shower. Let me put on a face mask. Like what things can you do to care for yourself, to take care of yourself?
Right.
Recently, I started doing nature walks. So I will schedule literally time block in my day, time to be outside, get some vitamin D, and be out mellowing in the sun.
Yeah.
And
I like it. I like walking around too, or but I like the city. Like I don't want to be near a tree because, well, you're in DC. We have cicadas that are coming.
Oh, so cicadas just started coming up now. Yeah. So we just started seeing signs of cicadas recently. I was like, okay, I guess
I don't want to be near a tree. Yeah. So like, yes, but like I can tell like once even just like around the block, or just like a mile, just something like simple that it's like, okay, I feel much better now. Like I think like I can take on the day. Like you get a chance to like just stop and relax. Or I like trying new things, like something new. Like I keep a list of all of the places that I want to try. And so then when I'm like feeling like that, like you said, it's like, okay, I want to go try this place.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like restaurants to eat. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all those things are really great. Even, so one of the things I started doing on my nature walks is doing deep breathing exercises. So like,
that's good.
Out and breathing, and especially if you go somewhere where it has a lot of trees, like if you're going, even though you're not going to go to trees, if you go on a nature walk and you're surrounded by trees, the air is just so different. It's just
very different. Yeah.
Do some deep breathing. Take your dogs for a longer walk, things like that. Like
they love that.
Yeah, they would love that. They definitely love that.
Get away from your kids. Get away from your kids and your husband. I gotta go on a walk.
Absolutely. That's definitely right. But yeah, so those things, I think just having a list that you can go to, things that you remember and you recognize are your self-care, love things that you can do to say, this is just about me. This is all about me. I need to take some time for myself and give back
to
my.
You could even like, now that we're talking about it, you could even like put pictures in there of like things that you love, or like a picture of like your best day you had, or like little quotes that you love. Like you could put anything in there.
Yeah. So my daughter has a Pinterest page, and I guess she like tags some of the things that she loves, like little nature scenes or like her favorite looking clothes and things like that. Like whatever you think brings you joy. My old bosses said you should create a love me file. So like start taking testimonials from clients and anything that just makes you really happy, friends, family members, anyone who sends you a note, stick it in a file folder and start going through it and reading it when you're feeling like you're in that
so
space.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, just these are all like super great ideas of ways that you can just bring your energy levels back up, and you can stop feeling so depleted when you're in that.
But I think too, I mean, there's a lot of strategies, right? Do you have another one that you can share? I know you have a million.
Oh my gosh, I could go through a whole list of things to share, but I'm really big on routines. So I mentioned the morning routine or the evening routine, even a daytime routine, like literally blocking off a time during your day where you're just doing something for yourself.
Right.
Scheduling it every day means that you're spending time with yourself every day.
Right.
And that helps to adjust your stress level too. So like, if you can think about, okay, I have a morning routine in the morning, and then I have, I've crammed in my schedule, and then I have time blocked off, that's going to be really, really helpful for me to just kind of recuperate. And then I have a stressful evening, and then I have a bedtime routine. So you have some love times kind of scheduled in there that's really just about you. So I'm very big on that. I'm also really big on like journaling and stillness and, exercise and healthy eating. I think all of those things kind of contribute to yourself holistically.
Yes.
And just really trying to be the best place you can be.
Yeah.
But fun and going to like live music. Now there's like live outdoor music because the weather is so nice. Like doing stuff like that is really great. And just taking time off of work. You're never going to get through all your emails. You're
Never will. Ever, ever, ever. But you actually are more efficient when you schedule a vacation.
Oh, you are. You absolutely are. I
Yeah.
realized I took off a whole week. When I came back, I cranked through my work so quickly and with so much gusto.
Yeah, right. And before you leave, you're like cranking through it. No, I think these are all really good strategies. I mean, there's a lot, but I think having like the accountability too is really helpful because you have people around you and people, you know, coach that you pay for whatever that is like something's wrong here, something's different because it can be hard for us to recognize it for ourselves, you know.
Yeah, I think having that third party actually tell me that I had this problem was something that set me on the path to really discovering my issue. And so one of the things that I do for my clients is, you know, we have regularly scheduled calls and I'm able to kind of see what's going on. I say, you know, how's your day going? What's new? I can look at someone and tell their facial expressions are down, they're feeling really slow and lethargic. Like I can recognize really quickly when they're not in the same space that they usually are. Sometimes, you know, like you're bouncy and you're excited.
Yeah.
And some days you're just not feeling it. And having someone be able to say, you don't look like yourself today, like what's going on, will at least put you on alert to say, okay, I guess I need some self-care time. I need some time to like take some time off, or I need to shut the day off at 4 p.m. today. I'm not doing any more showings. I'm not doing
like I'm done. Well, especially in this market, it's just like you've got to shut it off or you're going to be going crazy. And I know I know your clients are going to want to see something, but have somebody cover that day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So then you don't feel bad. And then you cover for them on a different day because you've got to relax.
Yeah, I think especially if you're a solo agent, building in a network of support system, I think is really helpful for you. So like if you're on a team, it's easier to pitch to the team, but if you're a solo agent, it makes things really challenging when you don't have someone to lean on.
Yeah.
So, but there are other solo agents out there who need just as much support. So
exactly.
I had a friend of mine who was doing the same thing. She's like, oh yeah, I have a couple agents who I know who, especially some of the ones who are young and eager and they're just getting started and they need experience.
Yeah.
They will jump in right away.
And it's fine because that's all you're doing is they're just showing the houses for the buyers. Like it's fine. You know, I know.
They love the experience. They love the opportunity. So it's
exactly.
Really win-win.
Well, I know we're just hitting like the tip of the iceberg. So if people want to talk to you more about maybe they might be feeling some burnout, they want to talk to you about the different types of coaching and things that you can do, because you could do like all different levels. Did you want to do like a brief kind of synopsis or?
I mean, I work with agents, I work with individual agents, I work with teams, I work with brokers, I work with multi-million-dollar businesses. I've kind of done the full range of things myself personally. So I've been able to help that full range of different people in the different phases of business where they are. So I'm happy to help anyone who feels like they need some momentum, need some tips, need some tricks. I've gotten on the phone call with people, even just to give them some ideas on what they can do and how to move forward. I think a lot of newer agents aren't too sure where to start. And some seasoned agents are like, I'm starting to feel a little burnout. Where do I go from here? Should I start building a team? Like, what does that look like? I've worked with an agent transition from working at a brokerage to starting her own brokerage. So that's the direction that a number of people are going right now. So if you need help across the board, I'm happy to help you. And you can contact me. Either you can send me an email. It's Rhianna, RHIANNA at properplanning.realestate. Or you can go to my website, properplanning.realestate. And there's a way that you can schedule a time to sit down with me.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you being on. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.